Here's some pictures and a video highlight of Lili and I as 2024 Aurora Mini-Con Star Trek panelists with Manu Intiraymi.
All right, Aurora, my name is Bryan Kreutz, and welcome to the Star Trek panel. All right, my television co-host Lili Fox-Lim is here. Let's give her a huge glass of
This is a family-friendly show, so I can't be like Dave Chappelle.
Spot on, absolutely.
We are so excited to be here with all of you. Aurora is a place full of so much diversity and so many different people and different backgrounds and different creeds that make Aurora a Star Trek utopia. Gene Roddenberry's vision of this utopian infinite diversity and infinite combinations is in this city. So we're really excited to be here talking about Trek.
And then there's the future of Star Trek. Star Trek Starfleet Academy 2025 coming to Paramount Plus. And also Tawny Newsome. What? Live action Star Trek.
Star, now a writer on the show, developing Starfleet Academy.
Does.
What is it? What, who?
Tawny Newsome, who plays Beckett Mariner on the animated series Lower Decks, is going to be doing a live action comedy.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
This is a true story. Before I got blacklisted from Star Trek, I was on Voyager, season 6, and all the cast members and all these people that were working behind the scenes kept coming to me and saying, you know, they're going to offer you a big contract. You're going to be on Starfleet Academy.
What?
This was 24 years ago.
Nice. They've been talking about this
They've been
prequel
talking
series.
about that
Yes.
show for a long time, and I was like, just, I was stoked. I was like, yeah, wait for those contracts. They never arrived, but it's nice to see that they're making it, and they're making it with someone just like me. Well, that grumpy guy in the lower right corner, what's his name?
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah, Walleye. That was his name in the movie, the Academy Award-winning movie. But I have that disposition, so, give me a call, guys.
Maybe a guest star role.
Well, Echad would come back. Look, when he landed from the Delta Quadrant, he joined the Academy. So he would go on to teach there before he goes over to Picard and gets his eyeball ripped out.
All right, Aurora, my name is Bryan Kreutz, and welcome to the Star Trek panel. All right, my television co-host Lili Fox-Lim is here. Let's give her a huge glass.
This is a family-friendly show, so I can't be like Dave Chappelle.
Spot on, absolutely. I'm rolling my R's. Can you roll your R's?
Yes, I can.
Of course, she's trilingual, by the way. She speaks Klingon.
I wouldn't say I speak it, but I do enjoy studying it.
Absolutely.
Has anybody out there listened to hip hop? All right, that's cool. Get out your phones right now. Do you have Apple Music? Spotify, whatever. Go look up Click Type, CLICTYT, and download or stream that album later. That is my new hip hop group. I go by M.KEY. It's our first drop. We dropped it a couple months ago. We have a new album coming out 2 months from now called Click Tight Rattlesnakes Texplorado. So much better than the first record. But the first one's not bad. I'm proud of it. So I hope you guys give it a look.
How do you spell that again?
I decided at 40 to be a rapper. Click Tight, yeah, CLICTYT.
I heard it this morning, it was really good, over breakfast.
Well, you heard some of the new stuff.
Yes.
The new stuff's great. The old stuff's a little bit, 2000 era hip hop. We're sort of stuck in that West Coast flavor, but it's good. And the new one has all sorts of genres. If you're into hip hop, it's got like, sad boy on there. There's trap. There's a little bit of that West Coast flavor that they're doing now. There's Texas, what's it called? Texas screw. Even like country rap tunes on there on the second record. So hope you like Click Tight. Check it out. Sorry.
No, it's great. It's great.
A multi-talented icon.
Most certainly.
I'm having a midlife, so I'm doing crazy things. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying making this music. I go by M.KEY. I'll have a single out very soon too, if you just want to look up M.KEY. But that's even more complicated because it's M.KEY $UN, M.KEY. No, I'm not sorry. It's good music. I'm really proud of it. Yeah. Keep track. And also, you can always follow me at Manu Intiraymi on all the social medias. So I'll be making announcements about everything I'm doing there. I usually do that at the end.
Hey, do it at the end so we can get social media eyes on their phone. Absolutely. All good.
Well, we are so excited to be here with all of you. Aurora is a place full of so much diversity and so many different people and different backgrounds and different creeds that make Aurora a Star Trek utopia. Gene Roddenberry's vision of this utopian infinite diversity and infinite combinations is in this city. So we're really excited to be here talking about Trek.
Oh my God.
Unless you have controversial opinions,
On Star Trek.
then no diversity allowed.
As you guys know, Star Trek's been relevant in the past. You can go all the way back to the 1960s with the original series. Our favorite character was Leonard Nimoy's Spock, right? Oh gosh. I saw him at my first Star Trek convention. That was amazing. Throwing up on my shoelaces as well, but hey, I still got to listen to Leonard Nimoy. That was awesome.
The dude was kind.
He really was. Yeah, he really was, from what I gathered. But yeah, he's an icon. Spock's an icon. The 1960s were amazing. Then we move on to the 70s. You had these Star Trek animated series without Walt Disney, unfortunately. The first movie, Star Trek the Motion Picture, when Manu and I were basically toddlers, 1979. Lots going on in Star Trek over the years. Move on to the 1980s. This is the one that probably everybody is familiar with. Jean-Luc Picard, Captain of the Enterprise. Can you do your Picard voice?
I'll save it for later.
Okay. All right, so 1980s was Star Trek The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine in the 90s, and Star Trek Voyager. What? The gentleman sitting to my left was on Voyager, as you know. And we have his picture obviously at the top above the cast, because that's what we think of Manu. Manu's looking at Manu. Manu.
Well, it's wild. It's really weird to see that stuff because it feels like yesterday. I look at that image, I feel like it's me now, but it's 24 years ago. Yeah. That's like, some people die in that time.
It's true.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just, it's so wild that it was that long ago because it certainly doesn't feel like it.
Long time, yeah, for sure.
And I only see that because I was walking through a graveyard the other day, doing a ghost hunt. And by the way, if you're gonna go on a ghost hunt, don't go to the graveyard. They don't hang out there. It's the dumbest place to go hang out if you go on. Just sit by your own grave. Dumb. So they don't do it. But I did notice that on the graves there was like all these kids and 30 and 28 and 25 and I'm sitting there at 46 going, oh my gosh, I'm so humble and thankful to still be here doing this thing. So, yeah, I was 21 right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
99, no, 2000.
2001.
Yeah.
That's the 2 seasons, yeah.
Amazing. Well, let's move on to the 2000s. You guys are familiar with Scott Bakula and Linda Park as Hoshi Shato on Star Trek Enterprise. And you know, Scott Bakula's little NX-01 ship, if there would have been a 5th season, the blue antenna Andorian would have been a main cast member. That would have been great. And then there's that's all the past of Star Trek, by the way, the past. Now let's move into the present. Discovery just wrapped, Picard just wrapped, but we're also in Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks on Paramount Plus, and Prodigy is on Netflix. That's the present of Star Trek. And then there's the future of Star Trek. Star Trek Starfleet Academy 2025 coming to Paramount Plus. And also Tawny Newsome, what? Live action Star Trek.
Star, now a writer on the show developing Starfleet Academy.
Yes. What is it? Who?
Tawny Newsome, who plays Beckett Mariner on the animated series Lower Decks, is going to be doing a live action comedy.
You want to hear something crazy?
Yes.
This is a true story. Before I got blacklisted from Star Trek, I was on Voyager, season 6, and all the cast members and all these people that were working behind the scenes kept coming to me and saying, you know, they're going to offer you a big contract. You're going to be on Starfleet Academy.
What?
This was 24 years ago.
Nice. They've been talking about this
They've been
prequel
talking
series.
about
Yes.
that show for a long time.
Yes.
And I was like, just, you know, I was stoked. I was like, yeah, waiting for those contracts. They never arrived, but it's nice to see that they're making it. And they're making it with someone just like me.
Just like you.
Well, that grumpy guy in the lower right corner, what's his name?
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah,
Yes.
Walleye. That was his name in the movie, the Academy Award winning movie. But I have that disposition, so, you know, give me a call, guys.
Hey, maybe a guest star role.
Well, Icheb would come back. Look, when he landed from the Delta Quadrant, he joined the Academy. So he would go on to teach there before he goes over to Picard and gets his eyeball ripped out.
Oh my gosh, it was brutal.
Tragedy.
That other Icheb.
The other Icheb, yeah, the other guy, the third person to play you. Yeah, so Holly Hunter's starring in this. It's going to be really cool, and I'm sure there's an opportunity to bring you in, whether it be from that same universe in Star Trek Voyager's future, which was an alternate reality. There's all sorts of different things we can do in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Mirror universes, alternate realities. Bring back Icheb!
Yeah, man, for sure. You know, the truth of the matter is, I just forgot what I was going to say. Oh, no, I'm friends with Rudd and Trevor, and both of those guys are showrunners over there.
Rod Roddenberry, Trevor Roth.
Yeah, and I, you know, I did a movie with them called Instant.
Oh, yeah.
And if we can somehow patch up this rift between Paramount or whoever it is over there that doesn't like it.
That's my honor.
That's who?
You mean
Over there?
No, not over there. Over there, like Paramount. Not that person. Yeah, I mean, that would be a joy. Picard is back. Oh, man. Come on.
Anyways, it's
Sorry, I'm just jealous because I'm like, that was supposed to be my series 24 years ago.
That's right.
That's just wild. Okay.
Speaking of Paramount, as we all know, Paramount Plus hosts all of the Star Trek shows nowadays. But our talk show actually airs on broadcast TV, so it's free to watch. And we have a great group of Trekkies, Trekkers, or
Truckers.
not truckers, trekkers, that have really helped us build an audience for our show, and it just goes to show, how many people love Star Trek for what it is and appreciate all of the detail that goes into it, all the work and everything that all of the creative people on Star Trek put into every single episode.
What's the difference
Between
a
what?
Trekker and a Trekkie?
I understand that it means if you're married, if you're a Trekker, and if you're not married, you're a Trekkie. I heard that on radio one time, so I'm gonna go with it.
You know what I heard this morning?
I've never heard that.
I heard that if you're a Trekker, if you got into Star Trek with Next Gen, and you're a Trekkie if you were there from the beginning.
That would make more sense, Manu, because it's in the Star Trek world. And there's a trucker too, right? It's like a Trekkie that drives
And
a
you
truck.
can be a trucker that's a Trekkie or a trucker, or a trucker, or yeah, I see how you got that.
Well, picking up on the Star Trek show that Lili and I did, this is how we met Manu. We interviewed Manu for a 2-part episode, and we're on broadcast TV, as Lili said. We're on 30 TV stations and growing in 14 states. 2 of those stations are here in Colorado. KPRI Channel 8, you can watch us Sundays at 8:30 p.m. KPRI Channel 8, yes. And then we're on Aurora TV on Friday and Saturday at 8:30 p.m. Right here in the great city of Aurora, Colorado. So,
When's my episode on?
your episode actually is on this week, this upcoming week, part 1 of 2. Watch it.
Awesome.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to that fun with you guys.
Absolutely.
Aw.
It was fun.
And that was actually the second time that we interviewed Manu for our show.
Yes. It
So
was.
there are four episodes with Manu in it.
4th, yes. Yeah, so it's looking good. So we are honored to have Manu here. It is an honor to spend the morning with you, to spend all that time doing interviews with you. But we'd like to ask you some questions to kind of just open it up so we can get to know you better, and the audience can get to know you better, Manu. Lili, I believe.
It's an honor to be here, truthfully. A lot of actors will come out here and they'll say that don't mean it. I have been living in Colorado Springs doing these records this last couple of years, and I heard about this. These guys called me and said, "You want to come up?" I said, "Absolutely." So it is an honor to share the room with you guys.
Absolutely.
I'm actually nervous. I'm really nervous. I don't know if you can tell, but like, I haven't been to a convention in like 3 years, and I keep mentioning this blacklisted thing. But how many of you know about this? Well, yeah, see, I knew everybody knew. So it's weird. It's weird. I'm trying to fight for my reputation, like, and as a human being and as a member of the community. So this is the first. I think this is the first con that I've done in person.
3 years?
3 years plus, yeah. And I used to do them like 20 times a year. So it really is a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Including the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. You were at that con, too.
I wasn't the 50th.
Yeah.
But that was 4 years ago, right? Or more.
Yeah, so 2016. Crazy.
Time does fly.
Yeah.
Speaking of time, something that was really revolutionary about the original series was it was embracing diversity on screen. Before it was really, I don't want to say allowed, but it wasn't cool. You know, it wasn't mainstream yet, and Star Trek was pioneering these things on TV. And Manu is actually quite diverse himself. He has a Hawaiian first name and an Incan last name. So Manu, I'd love to hear just like a little bit about your family.
Wow. You want to hear about my family?
Or your family history.
Oh,
Just-
wow. All right, so my dad, his name is Michael John. His first name actually is Eugene Hector. He also goes by Glowing Feather. He's a hippie, and in the 60s he developed something called the Rainbow Gathering. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Rainbow Gathering, but I was raised by 60s generation flower children, the hippie folks. I ran around with folks like Baba Ram Dass and Timothy Leary and Terrence McKenna, and I don't know if you recognize any of those names, but I grew up weird. My dad grew a lot of high quality marijuana back when marijuana was not legal, in the basement of a big home in Idaho. And when I was 8 years old, the DEA and the ATF came up out of my forest, and I was like looking out the window, and they stole our house and threw my dad in jail. And me and my mom went on the run for a few years until they caught up with us, and then my dad went to jail. And he's basically been a warrior for that medicine my whole life, which has made me grow up in communes and campgrounds and rainbow gatherings, and it was a very interesting childhood. We moved every few months. I went from being like a spoiled rich 8-year-old with a lot of money in Idaho, like skiing on the ski slopes, to homeless in a VW van for most of my teen years. And now my dad's rich again because they legalized pot in California and everywhere else these days. So that gives you an idea of the crazy things I saw growing up and what formed my opinions about the world. Well, my dad actually, when I was 8, and the cop, like, this was like 50 cops, like DEA, ATF, they had their guns out, they kicked in the door. My dad, when I was 8 years old, looked up at me from the floor because he's handcuffed and beat up, and he goes, "Manu, you've got to fix this. Do you see how wrong this is?" Like at 8, right?
Years old. Wow.
So yeah, I have problems with authority. But yeah, that was my childhood, and I don't regret it actually, because if I would have gotten to stay in the drug houses at the time, it was just marijuana. Marijuana is not the biggest of deal these days, but back then it was 85 in Idaho. If I would have gotten to stay there and everything would have gone right, I think I would be like a really spoiled, rotten Republican. Because I think I would have rebelled from my parents' ideology with all that money that we had, and my parents were about to buy a hot springs, and I think I would just be like, you know, one of those kids in McCall, Idaho that I know to this day that are like, you know, whether you like Trump or not, I don't care about politics at the moment, but I mean, I do care, but I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, but I think I would just be like a spoiled, rotten Trumper, and I got to live this really crazy life that led to Hollywood and movies and music and art and empathy. Learned empathy at a really young age. So.
Thank you for sharing a cool story.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. I got a question for you too, Manu.
Okay.
All right, so this one is pre-written by me. One of my great joys as a Trekkie is watching former actors from the TV series and films continuing to grow in their careers. Manu did that in 2019 with his directorial debut. Lily would say directorial debut.
Are you gonna call me out?
The Circuit Star Crew was a film back in 2019. Manu, did you intentionally decide to make your start off of your directing career with a science fiction film? Oh, wait, there's another question. And was your Star Trek experience helping you in that film? Because Star Trek, our Star Crew, is now a pilot TV series being pitched to distributors and networks.
Yeah, it is.
All that stuff.
All that stuff. Well, all that stuff is the same thing. I don't know if any of you were at Denver Comic-Con 7 years ago, but I pitched an idea called The Circuit back then, and I had everybody in the audience scream, "The Circuit, go with The Circuit," and we raised $100,000. We were able to raise another $500,000. We shot a pilot. We have a proof of concept pilot that I was hoping to share the first 2 minutes with you here. No one has seen this. I was going to share the first 2 minutes so it doesn't get leaked, because it now is a $500,000 project getting pitched to real networks, and we hope that we'll get a deal with Electric or Netflix or Amazon or somebody like that, and get to do the first season of Star Crew next year. I've been working for 7 years on this with so many people. You say, you know, when you're talking about Star Trek, the amount of people it takes to make a good movie or a good TV series.
Yeah.
I literally had to tap every friend I knew in the world to get this thing off. Every friend in the industry that I've ever met did a solid favor to make this thing what it is. And we're hoping to get a mini-series off next year. And the whole idea is basically a rated R Galaxy Quest. It's about a bunch of actors that are on a show, but it's much more The Boys and much less Galaxy Quest in terms of its humor. but it also has a big heart, because what holds the whole thing together is all these actors that are on this show called Star Crew. They end up finding a way to their own universe, and unbeknownst to them, their show, just like Star Trek, it's a positive show that has affected the future of mankind. Their show is a key part of the reason that the timeline goes the right direction. And the father and son in the show are an illegitimate father and son. The main captain, his name's Ron Reno. He has an illegitimate son with a makeup girl. And the kid gets on the show, but the first day that he's on the show, he gets a glimpse into this other universe where there's these evil things trying to stop mankind from, and trying to get to this universe to kill the actors that play Star Crew. Because in their universe, Star Crew is this unstoppable force that's kicking their ass all the time. And they're very much like the Borg. They're AI biologicals. But they finally figured out that they can get to this universe if they can kill the writers and the showrunner and all the actors. They can kill Star Crew in their universe. The universes are, what would they call that? Spooky action at a distance? Entangled, thank you, sir. And the whole idea is that reality as we know it is created by storytellers. If there weren't conscious human beings telling stories, writing books, making video games, making movies, reality itself wouldn't exist. Every single one of you in here is being written by somebody. Your life story is somewhere in some other universe. People are enjoying watching you. So that is, basically what the whole thing's built upon. Some actors go to their universe, and there's this thing like the Nothing that's trying to destroy all of reality and stop people from reading books and stop people from being creative. And the beast that we fight in the first season is an AI species of biologicals that want to take over and write the story themselves, but they don't realize that if they do that, there's no consciousness telling the story, and the universe will snap. And it's very fun. It's rated R humor with a big heart. I'm going around in circles, but the reason is that the father and son, the father knows that the kid, who is now 24 by the time he gets sent to the other universe, and out of the psych ward from when he was a kid. I pitched this so terribly just now. But so when he was a kid and he was on the show, that his first day he gets fired, his mom gets killed because this thing from another universe kills her, but nobody sees it. So they think he's there with this big daggery looking knife over his mother. They put him in a psych ward. 24 years later, he writes a bunch of fan fiction about Star Crew because he really wants to still be a part of it. Paramount, or a company like Paramount, I think we call it Everest Entertainment or something. They come to him and they say, hey, we want to make the movie out of your book, and he ends up back with his father, who he doesn't know is his father. His father's very right-wing, he's very left-wing, and so there's a beautiful heart at the center of the whole thing that keeps you caring about all this crazy humor.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
So
this.
it's like not only a journey through the multiverse, but a journey through the storyverse. Was that the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the question. It's great.
But we have,
future sci-fi.
yeah, super interested. I mean, a couple big showrunners right now are on the hook and very eager to see the pilot. And I know probably a bunch of you out there are eager to see the pilot too. We literally have color correction to do, which I just called my editor and my color correction guy, and I said, hey, can you guys send them just the first 2 minutes of the film? And they did. I don't know if we'll be able to show it to you, but I will try. I've got the email. But what he said was, yeah, here's the first 2 minutes, but I'm not sure if we've got the proper sound mix because there's like 20 files and I picked the best one. so he said, make sure to check the sound before you show it to everybody. So if we get a chance to show people, we'll just wing it. If the sound's off, I'll cut it.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah. Wow, well this is sort of trying to, I don't know. Okay, this is just gonna be a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
That has like quantum physics involved.
Oh yeah, big time.
Did you become interested in that at all? Because each have spent a lot of time in astrometrics.
Yeah.
And like spent a lot of time like studying science. And did that affect you and make you actually?
Honestly, it's a
get
good
into science
question.
yourself?
Because when I started to play ECHEB, I started to read books like A Brief History of Time and all that stuff to try to be smarter than I was. Because I was just a dumb, punk rock hippie kid. And playing this like mega being of super intelligence and loyalty and kindness, right? So yeah, I did start really getting into physics, and my dad actually tried to be a physicist, couldn't hack it, but always talks about it, and how the universe, what is reality, what are we avatars, what is this a simulation, how much of a spiritual aspect is there to it, all that stuff. So for sure physics is fascinating to me, and quantum realities and all that stuff is, who knows what the heck reality is. It's funny because so many people walk around thinking, yeah, we know what's going on, we don't know what's going on, we don't have any idea what this is. At least I don't think so.
All right, I want to ask you another question here, Manu. Let's talk about J. Edgar Hoover, that movie.
Oh, let's not.
You don't want to talk about that? All right, let's
Here, I got two things to say.
Okay.
Super awesome to work with Clint Eastwood.
All right.
Super awesome to work with Leonardo DiCaprio. So excited. Such awesome people.
Okay.
The good story is, I was on the set. I was really nervous for the first time in a long time because these were mega stars, and I got cast off of tape, which is how they do it nowadays. You hardly ever audition for anyone anymore. Eastwood, the first time I see him, he's like back wall across the street on the Warner Brothers lot, and he's sitting in his director's chair, and he turns and he locks eyes with me. And I'm playing this character named Alvin Karpus. He was the bad guy. That was supposed to take up like 20 minutes of the film with 3 other bad guys. They were going to show how J. Edgar Hoover said he took them down, but really had nothing to do with it. So they were going to show the juxtaposition. But Eastwood makes eye contact with me, and he starts doing the slow Eastwood saunter over my direction.
Yes.
And he's pegging me with those, kind of and I'm literally doing like that stupid, is he looking at me thing. He's getting closer and closer. I realize he's looking at me. He's definitely going to come say something to me. He comes up and he goes, well, if it isn't Manu, blah, blah, blah. And he elbowed me and winked. And I immediately went, oh, this is going to be awesome. Like, this is Uncle Eastwood, not Mr. Eastwood. And DiCaprio was the same way. He was like, hey, let's who cares what the script says? Like, if you're feeling something, let's improv, let's do it, let's get something good. And we got to play, and it was really fun.
Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. There's a lot more improv that goes into a written script and film, isn't there?
When the director is good. Yeah. And literally, Eastwood, that's another story. It's a short one, but he took the script and he went, okay, Manu, you're coming down the stairs, you've got your gangster and your girl on your arm, and you say, whatever comes in. DiCaprio, Leo, you're going to come running down the street, you've got FBI behind you, we'll coordinate it. There's a white horse, when you come around the white horse, smash the window, grab Alvin's arm and say, whatever you want. Seriously,
That's how it went.
He was very much, here's the line, but if that's not what you're feeling, give me something else. And then he was so open, because filmmaking really is, it can be very controlled. It can be, you can get a director that's like, this is my vision, everybody follow, there's no room for even changing the word the or and or anything.
Right.
And then you get a director like Eastwood who, after we did the first take, he didn't even film the first take, he just watched it. And then he goes, that's good, let's shoot that. And then he would cover it and shoot it the way he wanted. But But before he shot it, he literally would say to everybody on the set, the gaffers, the grips, the DP, does anyone else have any ideas on how we should do this?
Oh, wow.
Literally.
Eastwood said that.
So if you had the cajones to be like, yeah, I think we should do it this way, he would hear you out.
That's nice.
And I thought that was just so cool.
Yeah, that's collaboration right there, creative collaboration.
Yeah.
That's Hollywood, baby.
That's all right, so I said we wouldn't talk about this, but that's my last story.
See, you're amazing.
So I'm coming down the stairs, right, and I go out the door, and the FBI are trying to bust me. And I'm like, well, all right, I was just so excited to put in my 2 cents. I go, yeah, Clint, why don't we just, if you're gonna bust me, why would you wait for me to get in the car? Why don't you put 2 FBI agents with shotguns outside of the door, right when I come out? You got me. He goes, yeah, that's realistic, but we wouldn't have a scene. So I go, okay, yeah, you're right. I gotta talk. Yeah.
Realism sometimes isn't Hollywood.
Yeah. He goes, yeah, but then we wouldn't have a scene. Sorry, it's not just my idea.
Well, I feel like film gives you that room to improvise and to have those moments with Clint, which is wild. But can you compare that to you've done a lot of TV as well, and including Star Trek, where I've heard that it's a little bit less flexible. And it's
A little bit less.
Yes.
A lot less. At least on Voyager, it was like if you wanted to change and, if you wanted to not say the word the, if you wanted to pause or not pause, it was that serious. Like if there was a comma there, they wanted us to like pause. If you didn't do it, you would have to literally say, hey, can I say this to the director? The director wouldn't be able to give you the answer. They'd have to call Rick Berman and Bryan Kreutz and say, there's a pain in the ass actor down on the set that wants to change the script. And is that all right? They would think about it, talk it over, call the set back while everyone's sitting around waiting to shoot. Okay, you don't have to say and. I mean, it was that serious. So I just stuck to the script. There was, no creative. I mean, there was a sense of creative camaraderie between the performance, and how to do the performance, where we blocked, where we walked, all that, how the scene played, but you couldn't change the script. Yeah. The script was, they paid 20 good writers to make sure the script is perfect. So when an actor on set is like, this isn't good enough, they're like, yes it is.
Well, with that strictness of keep sticking to the script like it's an exact blueprint, I feel like when we've interviewed you before, I feel like you still had fun moments and times to bond with each other on set. So I'd love if you could share a couple of those.
Yeah. How do I? Well, there wasn't strict. We could still F around and make jokes and ruin takes. And I didn't get that right until 5 or 6 episodes in. I sort of had to toe the line until I earned the right. I think I earned the right around that episode called Child's Play, where my parents sent me back to the Borg. I put my heart and soul into trying to. That was the first episode that was based around the character, and the A story was Egypt's story. So I really gave up my all on that episode. That was the first time Brandon Braga, one of the showrunners, came down to the set about 5 days into shooting, and he just shook my hand. He said, "You're doing a pretty good job on the show. Keep it up." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'm staying on the show." So it was around then that I started joking back with the other actors. But this is supposed to be family friendly, so I'll keep it that way. But Ricardo had a filthy mouth. Ethan had a filthy mouth. Ethan Phillips. When the kids were there on I think it was called The Haunting of Deck 12. Yeah.
Azure 4th episode.
Ethan just made so many terrible jokes in front of the kids, and we just had them laugh. And Ricardo would say things like, "Tell the captain I'll meet her at 0800. Oh, and make sure you know she's a righteous." Oh. He would do fun stuff like that. He'd pause so that the take was got. And then he'd add his little something.
Was it in the same voice, like the crazy
still
Neelix
with the
voice?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, he'd
That's
stick
part of
with
the
the same
documentary.
character. And, you know, if we could get a funny, we did. There was a lot of that. I actually had, I won't say the name of the guy because he still has studio jobs, but he stole a bunch of the dailies for me. And I actually, at one time, had so many dailies of all that Star Trek Voyager cast saying some of the worst things. Like in episode 1, when I'm the Borg, we're the Borg Boy 2 or whatever his name
Collective.
was, second, I think his name was. The first Borg tries to smash me when I'm fighting for Seven's life with this big prop. And it really was made out of steel. It was a real heavy thing. It wasn't like a foam rubber thing. And so they figured we could just fight with it and not get too crazy. But the kid dropped it right on my head. So I'm like, you know, don't hurt Seven or whatever. And then and I went, ow, Ma. And like I had all that stuff at one time. And it's such a bummer because I was living in San Francisco at 30 years old, playing in a punk band, and I had like tapes of Star Trek dailies that I knew someday I was going to be able to like sell for millions of dollars and blackmail everyone.
Tell me you still have them.
I don't have them.
Oh no.
No, what happened is I gave them to a friend. I said, hold on to these. I'm moving back to LA. I'll be back to pick them up. They came back 3 months later and he had already ditched them.
Oh.
So-called friend. I don't talk to that guy anymore. Yeah, I had such good stuff. Yeah, I had like some of the best. And to me, when you watch a movie, that's the best stuff, the outtakes. I love an outtake reel at the end.
Absolutely.
Even if it's a drama. Yeah, outtake reels to me are wonderful. And also, sometimes they're the best moments in the episode. You know, if you hold your, you know, if you stick to the acting. If somebody laughs authentically, but you stick, you know, sometimes that's the magic that they capture. So I love directors, and I think television these days is more freeing. Like in 2012, I worked on One Tree Hill for a season.
Yes.
And I felt like I was much more free there. I didn't have to call, Mark Schwann was the showrunner at the time. I didn't have to call, I mean, you did have to give permission. Hey, can I change this? Talk to the director. The director could make the call. I'm sure it's probably changed over the years. And depends on the showrunner, the director, the staff. Just depends on the show.
All right, so I want to ask a question about your first 4 episodes of Star Trek Voyager: Collective, Ashes to Ashes, Child's Play, and The Haunting of Deck 12.
Was that the first 4?
Those are the first 4, yeah. You really established the character Icheb as a leader among the younger rescued former Borg like yourself. Did you see your character establishing avenues and suggesting he would be a big part of the recurring cast at this point? Or were you under the impression that this was more of an episode-by-episode basis for Icheb?
First of all, I was a jerk. I was 21 years old, I was full of myself, I thought I could make a living talking. You know, you gotta be sort of a numbnuts to think you're gonna act for a living. I mean, all actors are a little bit narcissistic, so you just, even if they tell you they aren't, come on. They convince themselves they can talk for a living. They're narcissists. What was the question?
The first 4 episodes you're establishing.
No, I was a jerk.
Yeah.
And I thought Icheb was a total lame character. I thought he was just a whiny kid. And I was 21 playing this whiny 16-year-old. No, I don't want to play. Katal is stupid, and The Haunting of Deck 12 was fun, but I was still just sort of a kid, whiny kid, listening to a ghost story. That was a fun episode just because working with Ethan is a blast. That guy's hilarious.
Yeah, just cargo bay.
Really fun to work with, and just an incredible human being. So no, I didn't know until Child's Play that he was going to become a character that was well written and that they focused on throughout the rest of the series. And I loved being there, but at the same time, I remember having thoughts like, oh man, I'm just gonna have to play like the couple of lines here and there, being a whiner, and they'll send their kids back to wherever they go. Yeah. And which is kind of what happened.
It is, yeah. The next episode after
Yeah,
this, right?
but I was lucky enough to stay around only because I was the oldest. I certainly wasn't the best actor. That young girl, Marlon McLean, she was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they kept me around just because I was the oldest and easiest to write for.
That's awesome.
I may say, I thought you did a great job. I thought you are a very good actor.
Thank you. I put a lot into him. He was. I literally cried one time when they gave me the episode Imperfection, where I saved Levin's life. And
Imperfection's a great episode.
I knew that was a metaphor for giving a kidney to someone or organ donorship, and I called my mom, sniffling, crying, going, I've been out here for 3 years trying to make it in Hollywood, and I think I'm going to do something that affects people. Mom, the script is really good. So, I was dedicated, so thank you.
Yeah. That's a great episode.
You've also done a lot of work with Star Trek alumni in other films. I feel like Tim Russ pops up a lot in your films.
I love Tim, yeah.
The Star Trek Renegades fan film with Star Trek alumni, Unbelievable, which is Star Trek parody, with like 40 Star Trek alumni. That one sounded fun.
Has anyone seen Unbelievable? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was such a bad movie. It was so bad. If you haven't seen Unbelievable and you want to see one of the worst films ever made, check it out. It's terrible.
Okay, but what is it like working with like Star Trek alumni on other projects? Is it very
Well, Tim brought me in on Renegades, and I we started doing conventions together, so we became friends. I'm really close with Tim. Tim has a laugh that is so infectious when he gets going. And then when he brought me in on Renegades, I felt like that was a good story for Walter Koenig, and I felt like Walter deserved a good story, like a main story for him. And I wanted to be a part of that. I knew that as a young actor that I owed these guys, the original cast. I wouldn't have had the job I had all those years later had they not began the thing with Gene. So Tim brought me in on Renegades. I brought him back on a movie I made called Fifth Passenger.
Love that movie.
Which actually we got number 10 of the best B movies ever made.
B movies.
In some random magazine or something. Which I'm very proud of because we had $170,000 to make that entire movie. We made it on the Space Command sets. I don't know if you know Mark Zakri's Space Command, but he was having trouble paying his bills, keeping his sets open, and he was he wasn't shooting. So we were like, can we use your bridge and your hallway, and we'll just redesign it and put it back the way it was? And he was like, yeah, pay my rent. But yeah, for the little bit of money we had, I'm really proud of Fifth Passenger. The first 15 minutes are hard to get through because the effects are very bad, but the story, and if you can hang through those bad VFX, is pretty captivating, and I'm proud of that little movie.
Yeah, you guys should definitely check it out. Marina Services in it, Armin Sherman's in it, Tim Ross, Doug Jones. I'm not forgetting.
Ryan Husk is in there. Marina, Tim, Shimmerman. Picardo I keep pointing over there like the guest, like the Voyager people are going to be there. It's always, but anyway.
Bob Picardo, the doctor.
Picardo was going to play Armin's part.
Oh, really?
And he got a part in a play that paid better.
There it is.
And so he was very much like, sorry, I'm getting paid better. I'm going to have to step out of this. But I called Armin, and Armin stepped right in. And Armin gives a beautiful little performance in that movie. So yeah, as much as I can get the guys back together, the gals, the guys, the thems, the he's, the she's, the humans, I do, because I love those guys. Except Garrett Wong, who I despise.
Harry Kim.
Yeah, he's just not a good human being, and he pretends that he is, but I don't like him.
That's too bad. He's in my favorite Voyager episode, Timeless. And that's a Harry Kim episode.
Yeah, he's a real creep. But, he wouldn't say that about me out in front of the mic, so maybe I'm the real creep, I don't know.
Well, you're being real. That's what
that's the thing. I do keep it real. And he just anyway, the rest of the cast, honestly, amazing human beings, and I'd do anything for them if they called. Not Garrett. Maybe we can start that whole, remember all that media about Seven and the captain not getting along?
Yes.
And that was all baloney.
Abel Grew and Jerry Ryan.
That was all made up drama.
Mm-hmm.
I was there those last 2 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 women may not have, they may have had a little bit of I'm going to be better in this scene than you, but all actors have that.
Yeah.
There's a thing out there that they didn't get along, and Kate didn't want Jerry there. It's all bullshit.
Yeah, that's great, because I thought it was real. Now you're clearing the air.
No, it's not.
Gosh.
And Garrett's one of the ones that really sold that.
Garrett.
Yeah, he said that all the time, that it was really hard, they didn't get along. I'm like, that's not quite true. They were really professional, and they worked together really well. They laughed, they joked. And I had, a trailer by their trailer, so I would have seen some of this stuff. I think it was probably the first couple episodes when she first came on, which I wasn't there for.
Yeah.
But for the last 2 years, those 2 women loved working together, and I didn't see any hostility. And that whole cast loved working together, and they still meet for lunch and stuff a couple times a year, or even more. So
That's awesome. Thank you for clearing that up. Did not know that at all.
Yeah.
But me and Garrett,
Yeah.
we don't get along.
Hey, it's real though. You're talking about it. I want to open the floor up to you guys here at the panel. Does anyone have any questions for Manu, whether it be Star Trek Voyager centric, Manu centric, talking about the pilot, anything? Anybody raise a hand? All right, so you're first in the purple. Go ahead.
I don't know why you were blacklisted.
Oh, you don't? All right, cool. I'll tell you the story. This could take up the last 15 minutes.
Sorry.
All right, so my wife, her name is Valerie Marie Boggs. She's a lovely woman. I am completely in love with her. She's at home right now. She deals with seizures. She had a couple of seizures last night. We've got her on a bunch of... She was going to be here. I'm sad she isn't. She could back me up on this. But when I met her, we've been together 11 years, by the way. And she's wonderful, but when I met her, she was 27. She's now 38. 12 years. 27 and a half, whatever. But this is part of the reason I'm blacklisted. Part of the reason was the first year of our relationship, she had a seizure outside my house in LA. There was a tree that, I don't know if you've ever been to LA, there's sidewalks and they've got these big palm trees and these other type of trees. I don't know, they're like something oak, I don't know what they are, but they're big trees. And the roots will kind of grow up out of the sidewalk and down into the street. You kind of have to avoid parking on them. She had a seizure, fell down, hit her face, and marked her eye here and here. And later that day, I didn't know when I first got with her that she had PTSD, and she had been through, without divulging too much, she had been through a lot of relationships with abusive men, and had a really hard time with what she was dealing with, and still deals with to this day. It was my first year of being with her. I'd never dealt with that type of mental illness and the kind of outbreaks that people can have, and it's not only PTSD, but there's other things involved. And she's a trooper, and we've learned a lot. But back then, she was having an outbreak that night, And I had had enough. It was 1 year in, and I said, out of my house, I don't ever want to see you again. I hate you, you're ruining my life. I said horrible things to her. And threw her out of my house, called my friend Bing Bailey, who lived up the street, who is I don't know how to explain Bing Bailey. I'll just do it. Bing Bailey is a gay man that doesn't know he's gay with a gay wife that absolutely knows she's gay, and they hang out but they don't have sex. There are people like this in this world, I love them. And I used to love these two. Bing Bailey's wife had this green mohawk. She was one of those big, tough girls. So I said, can Valerie stay there tonight so she can cool off? I can't handle this. When she got there with that mark on her face, Bing Bailey's wife said, what did he do to you? And my wife, girlfriend at the time, being a PTSD individual dealing with the mental illnesses that she dealt with, let that woman push her into saying, he hit me. And really it was from the seizure earlier that day. But I had said such nasty things to her that night that she was like, I'm getting him back. And she took a picture, she put it on Facebook. Look at Manu Intiraymi from Star Trek, he beat me up, look what he did. And then no one hears about the 2 weeks later when she comes back and says, I'm sorry, and we go to the court building, and she goes up in front of the judge and says, I made this up, and he's not an abusive man, and I've been in abusive relationships, and I made a mistake. So that was the beginning. Manu Hits Women. At the same time, Chase Masterson and Lili Fox-Lim. Lili Fox-Lim is this powerhouse convention representative. She represents a bunch of actors. And I love these two women. I don't have anything against them. But they didn't believe it. I had recently broken up with my old girlfriend that they loved very much. So Chase put in a call to her and said, you think Manu could ever lose it and beat up a girl? And my girlfriend, who was my ex-girlfriend, who was pissed off at me for leaving her for this new one, was like, yeah, click. I've never beat up a woman in my entire life. I've never hit a woman. I have gotten little pushing and shoving contests with women, but I've never struck a woman. And that Facebook post just doesn't seem to go away 11 years later, even though, like, she'd be sitting here with me right now if she wasn't sick. She's back at the house. Same girl. And we love each other now, and we've learned how to deal with my narcissism and her PTSD, and she wouldn't care. She's bipolar. She deals with just a lot of heavy stuff. On top of the PTSD, and the PTSD is really hard. I don't know if anyone's ever had, LA is a tough city, and if you go out there as a young woman and you get caught up dancing and you get caught up with the wrong people, you can get hurt really bad, and she did. And it's been something we've dealt with. But even to this day, 11 years later, I'll be at a restaurant and she'll act like an abused woman, do you mind if I pee? And I'll be in front of like people. I'll be like, of course you can pee. I don't tell her she can't pee. But it's funny. It's because we both work on it. On top of that, I knew this would be a long story. Maybe 3 years later, we were doing good. We were getting over that crisis, and Valerie comes in and she goes, "Mommy, do you believe this? Kevin Spacey just got accused of what's it called? I think she said rape of Anthony Rapp when he was 16." And I was like, "What? No way!" Because I had met Kevin Spacey when I was 17 on the back lot of Sony. He had given me a Cuban cigar. He was very nice to me. We sat. I was super hot when I was 17. And I was like, that dude would have came on to me if stupid. I had an emotional reaction. I went on Twitter and I said, Anthony Rapp, also knowing, this is horrible what I did, so I'm going to try to give myself as much of a pass as I can. I'm bisexual as well, so I know gay culture. And when I was 16, I was sneaking into gay bars. And it's just not the same as straight culture. And thinking all that stuff, I jumped on Twitter and I was like, Anthony Rapp, you're such a pussy, blah, 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 blah. Like, what a jerk you are, you're dumb. I said some terrible things. You can look them up, they're out there. I think I did 4 really out-of-line tweets, sort of out of anger more than anything else, and self-destruction, because I'm a self-destructive person. Sort of having to live up to the E-Chip character over the years and how wonderful of a person he is compared to how imperfect of a person I am. I can't tell you how many conventions I've been at where convention organizers have come up to me afterwards when I was 25 and they've been like, hey, you can't do your panel tomorrow. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because you cussed in your last panel and you made a joke about Seven and wanting to have sex with her. And I'm like, yeah, but me and Jerry know each other. We get the joke. We're in on it together. This isn't it. Yeah, but this is a family-friendly show. We want you to be more like Egypt. And I just,
It's a character.
after this happened, it sort of just released me entirely to the point where I was like, I know the Star Trek fan base doesn't hate me, but Lolita was very powerful, and like I said, I don't have anything against Lolita. She has the reasons that she has done what she's done. Listening to my old girlfriend who was very angry at me. I was about to marry her when I left her, right? So she had a reason to say, yeah, maybe. And Mama never hit me, but maybe. Because I do have a temper. I'm a crazy guy. I play punk rock, I play hip hop, I get drunk and smash things when I was young. But I'm not a human herder. I've never hurt humans. Girls or boys. I think the one fight I got in when I was 16, I just got beat up really bad, and I was not. I mean, I really am all in all a hippie geek. I used to have a long-haired mullet. Anyway, I'm getting off course.
Yeah, talk about the Discovery chief engineer, how you're tweeting all these different things with Anthony Rapp.
Yeah, so wait a second. So Anthony Rapp. So I say all these terrible things to him.
Yeah, Anthony Rapp.
And then in the long run, I realized this was the first time I ever apologized on the internet, which, looking back on it, probably never should have done. Apologizing to the public is, it's like, whoa, he admits he's an asshole. You're like any PR company will tell you never apologize. But I felt like it was a dick move what I did. And at the same time, I also felt like Kevin Spacey, not knowing all the stuff that we know now and all the stuff that's come out, I felt like maybe this was a gay man being, he was found not guilty twice in both cases. I haven't dug into this enough to talk about it, so I'll just stop there. But I have heard a few things, and I don't know if they're true, so I won't say it. But I still wonder a little bit if Spacey is taking the shellacking from the public just for being a gay powerhouse movie star that a Johnny Depp wouldn't take. Johnny beat the case of beating up Amber Heard, and he's a hero, and he's getting all his stuff back. And, Kevin Spacey charged against Rapp, he's still a pariah, he's still a disgusting, terrible human being. So I got a little taste of cancel culture because of what I said about Spacey and because of the thing with my wife 10 years ago. They decided to kill each other off and eviscerate him, and they also took Lolita and Chase took this little thing. 867 fans signed a petition that said if Manu Intiraymi is defending a known pedophile, then he might be a pedophile, and so we shouldn't let him come to Star Trek conventions. 867 people signed that out of the, 50 million Star Trek fans out there, if not more?
If not more, yeah.
Yeah. But they took that and they ran with it, and they basically got me banned from every known convention on the planet Earth as a dangerous pedophile to your children.
Except for this one.
Except for this one. Yeah. But
See how good your question is?
but then, can I finish? Sorry. The last bit of it is, me and Anthony rapped, at least over the internet. I apologized to him, he said no big deal, you know? But that's what's funny, is like, I can say to Anthony, hey, I reacted out of emotion, it was a dick move, my bad. And he can say, no problem. He tweeted back, you know? Forgive and forget.
You guys apologize.
Wait, yeah, and 5% of people saw that, you know? So it still haunts me to this day, and my character got killed over it, and they called a different actor to offer him the part. They didn't call me. I would have done that in a heartbeat, get to say goodbye to each other.
Yeah, started for car.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
get to work with, just to even be on the same show with those guys, and get to say goodbye to a character that I spent 2 years of my life, really giving a lot to. It hurt. So this has just been awesome to even get to talk eye to eye with some Star Trek fans, because, in this social media universe, I just don't know. These days I get a lot more love than back then. It seems like it's about, I don't know, we get to a poll in here, but I think it's about like 90-10 or 95-5 more love than hate these days. But back then it was like, you shall die. You do not belong in the Star Trek kingdom. And I know it wasn't you guys. It was just a couple of individuals and some bad mistakes from my dirty mouth. And I'm not for it. And this is what I've learned from the whole thing, truthfully, is, first of all, if the Star Trek fans don't want me, I don't want to be there. But I do think the Star Trek fans care. And I do think the Star Trek fans know that I'm not a woman-beating pedophile. Such a horrible 3 words together. So I understand why the blacklisting happened. Those are terrible words to get around. But I'm thankful to be here today, and I've been working for years now, talking even fan to fan, spending hours. Hey, this is what happened, and writing back and forth on Facebook and Instagram and all that. So if you have any more questions, if you want to make your judgment call,
This gentleman.
you can ask me on my Facebook, and we'll talk more about that. But let's go to something else. Thank you for that.
How much of Star Trek did you know before you joined the cast? And also, your chemistry with Q2 was really good? Do you still talk to him?
Yeah. I don't talk to him much. Q2, he asked me my chemistry with John Delancey's kid.
Keegan.
It wasn't coming to me. Keegan is a sweetheart. He became for the last time I talked to him, he was one of our ambassadors. So he's done very well for himself, and Keegan was fun. When I first got off that show, me and Keegan did a lot of conventions together. We'd sign together and dance around in England at the clubs at the end of the convention club thing. Keegan was awesome. I always thought, honestly, that was the writers back then. Now they can be. I still don't think Star Trek has gone far enough, honestly. But I haven't been keeping up. So, it's supposed to be infinite diversity and infinite combination. So I've got my own chip on my shoulder about, hey, have some empathy. I'm a human being. But also, how is the representation?
It's
for
good. Brian Bryan Fuller was on Voyager, you know, as a writer. And
Bryan Fuller is one of the dudes, along with the late Michael Piller, that made Egypt.
Mhm.
So I always thought that Egypt was a little bi, and I always thought that that Q2 episode was a little bit about two young boys, as much as they could get away with back then. Hi, Itchy. What's up, Q-Ball? Hey, come on. You know.
Yeah. Well, that's new Trek, is Fuller partially created with Kurtzman Star Trek Discovery, you know, so he's bringing it over to the new Star Trek, you know.
Awesome.
So I think it's good.
Fuller's Fuller, I'm a fan of Fuller, and I hope Fuller's a fan of me. I'm gonna reach out to that guy. He's doing a new show?
Brian's overseas doing a movie too. Right now.
But is he
He's
going
directing
back
a
to
movie.
Trek?
Yeah, I think it's just as a writer, though, not as a showrunner or producer, from what I understand.
That's a powerhouse position, a writer.
It is.
If Brian backed me up, I had a chance.
Yes. Brian, if you're watching.
Brian Fuller, by the way, is like a god of television writing. That not only Star Trek, but everything else. A lot of Hannibal and
Yes.
American Gods, and it goes on and on and on. Yes?
I actually just had a question, sort of very basically, like you're coming in as a board character on a season, or show that's already had a free board character following the cutest of board in Next Generation. I'm kind of curious, when you were starting, when you were looking at your performance, how much inspiration do you take from Patrick Stewart's work, from what Jerry did, how that sort of thing?
It was the fourth time they told the same story.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was kind of curious, like,
The cutest coming back.
Emulate that? What do I change, sort of thing for you?
I watched all the episodes. They basically told the story with Locutus during that season. With what was his name? Hugh, sorry.
Oh, Hugh Borg.
Hugh Borg was an episode, and that story condensed. And then Jerry, 7 of 9, was strung out over 4 seasons, and then it was Jerry's chance to help me with what she'd just been through. So they recycled the story a lot, but I felt like there was plenty of new ways to tell that story, and we got, like Jerry, we got a long time to tell it. How would a teen deal with this over as long as it took Egypt to find himself? It was one of the coolest parts that I've ever gotten to play, just because it was such a long, slow developing story. Meeting his parents and being completely disowned, and then thinking he had a home and that he found himself, and then no, who am I now? So they did a lot of new things, I thought. But I certainly watched the old stuff to see how they played awakening to their humanity. To be completely honest with you guys, playing a robot's easy. It really is. It's like they gave what's his name so much props in Alien for playing the robot in those 2 Alien movies, Prometheus and
David, the character David.
Yeah, but playing a robot, playing real emotions authentically in front of a camera that's literally right here, and you have another human. That's hard. Just being a robot is not that hard. So I'm always like, what are they giving this guy so much props for? He's just doing a robot.
And millions of dollars for the Alien franchise.
Yeah, God, I love Alien. I'm such a fan. And I haven't seen the new one, man.
Romulus.
Has anyone seen Romulus?
Yeah. There
Oh,
you go.
man. Who saw it? You saw it? Was it good?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I gotta go see it. Is it still in the theaters?
Yeah.
Alright. I'm going home to see Romulus tonight. I'm such an Alien fan. Sorry. When I was 16 and Alien vs. Predator, the comic book, came out, before I even thought I was going to LA, I was in LA with my buddy at Universal Studios. The comic book had come out, so I was sure they were making it. And we were at the top of Universal putting quarters in those things that you would look down on the lot. And I was just looking for the Alien Predator from some kind. Just sure that I was going to capture I'm an uber fan of. I really like dark science fiction. I'm a fan of Star Trek. I'm a fan of everything it represents. What I really like about Star Trek more than anything is the one-offs. I don't really get on the ride for the season. But I like the one-off episodes, the Twilight Zone-like episodes that have a strong metaphor or just a strong one. Those are my favorite Star Trek episodes.
And maybe I misremembered. Do you wish that each have had an Enemy or Darkly episode?
Oh yeah.
That would have been
Yeah. I wanted to go to Fairhaven or whatever was that?
In Ireland.
I wanted to get to play a completely different fun Each-Ed with a personality, in Fairhaven, I wanted to do one of those cool episodes with the superhero in the black and white.
Captain Proton.
Proton. Oh, yeah. I was pitching that to the writers. I was constant. I think they didn't like me. That's probably why they didn't bring me back for Academy. Because I was always like, will you guys do about this or that or this or that? And yeah, we'll try. Shut up.
Does anybody else have another question? Yes.
What's one of your least favorite genres of a show?
Sitcoms. Yeah. I hate sitcoms. Now, there are a couple out there that have been great. Seinfeld's awesome. Come on. You can even say that the new Larry David Curb Your Enthusiasm is, but it's not really a sitcom because the camera follows people. It's not a 3-camera comedy.
Yeah, it's Larry and Jeff the whole time.
Yeah, and so that's not really a sitcom, but it's still very much Seinfeld. Seinfeld is an old guy, the Hollywood producer. But yeah, I don't like 3-camera comedies very much. In fact, a big show that a lot of Star Trek fans like, I can't stand it. I don't know what you see in it. You know what I'm talking about. What is it called?
The Big Bang Theory,
Yeah,
like
Big
the
Bang
comedies,
Theory.
the parodies. Yeah.
I think I said some bad, my mouth always gets me in trouble in Hollywood. I said some bad things about Big Bang Theory, but then I got the opportunity to meet the showrunner, and I was like, hey, you should bring me. And he was like, hey, I read what you think of my show. Yeah, I just don't like 3-camera comedies, because I hate the laugh track, I hate the fakeness of it. I fell in love with movies in Hollywood because I feel like what good movies do is, through good actors and good artists telling empathetic stories about humanity, about what we really are, you can really affect people and I think good actors are trying to capture the truth of the scene, trying to play the moment for real, right? And I don't know why I'm thinking of Juno, but one time I was walking into a theater 15, 20 years ago. I was dealing with a lot of life stuff. I was depressed, bummed out. And I went in and I watched Juno. Do you ever remember the movie? Yeah, and I walked out of there feeling so good about life and so good about my family and my friends, and I was so humbled to be alive. And movies that do that, and not to be like an elitist snob, there's some funny sitcoms on, but for the most part, I don't like sitcoms.
All right, well, let's transition over to autograph session, guys. Thank you for joining us for the Star Trek panel and Voyager's Manu Intiraymi. Let's give them a round of applause.
For sure. Also, I do a show every Sunday night called Dangerous Thoughts on YouTube, @Dangerous Thoughts. I interview very strange people from the fringe, whether it be UFOs or ghosts or naked ghost hunting, or we also do some very serious stuff about it doesn't matter. And in fact, if it's a talk show that we're hoping early next year we're going to get on a bus for a couple months and drive across the United States doing crazy bucket list things, bringing a celebrity every week and a bunch of strange people on a bus, kind of doing a bucket list, going to like an ayahuasca retreat and chasing naked ghosts and jumping out of airplanes, and then interviewing like 30 really creative and cool personalities from our day. But right now, It's just a Sunday night show on YouTube where I talk to somebody interesting. If you know anybody that's interesting and you want to get a hold of me and come on the show or have them come on the show, we're always looking for guests. And it doesn't matter whether it's science or a book that they wrote or a movie that they made or they're just an expert in this field or that field and it's interesting. All we want to have is interesting conversations. So,
What is it called?
it's called Dangerous Thoughts. It's not always dangerous. Sometimes it's not even interesting, but for the most part, it's fun. And we got an investor coming along at the end of the year here to make it like a bigger, better show. But right now, it's still fun. And yeah, just if anybody wants to come on the show or knows somebody from the Denver, Colorado area or anywhere in the States or anywhere in the world that would like to come talk to us, just get my contact and get in touch.